Hello, and welcome once again to Spotlight on Home.
Hey guys, so it's Chris and Katie Corbett,
Yep.
and we are going to talk to you today about taking time for self care, which actually is what I talk about when I speak at homeschool conferences.
Yeah, this is really your jam,
Yeah, yeah.
and it seems like since a lot of this is moms in the trenches, this is particularly important for moms. Not so much dads, of course, self-care is important, but we're not fighting this fight often as directly. We're not feeling that, it never shuts off feeling. I always say my job is easy. I get to go,
Yeah.
I get to leave, and I come home later.
Yeah.
And
You get a lunch break.
I get
You
get
can
lunch.
even use the bathroom.
Well, depends. I'll tell you those stories
Oh,
another
gosh.
time.
Oh,
But
yeah.
different jobs are a little bit more demanding. But
That's true.
yeah, hear this. This is pretty big stuff. And even from going to the co-ops and meeting a lot of the moms, this has been a major topic and a major help for most.
Yeah, because I think if you're going to homeschool for the long haul, you really do need to meter out and make sure that you are taking time to not burn yourself out and take time to consider yourself and your needs and how they play into being a homeschool mom, because you will be serving your family, and it is unlike, I think, how it was so long ago where there was more of a stronger community and there was, your neighbors were close. If you have that situation, I think that's awesome. But so many of us we don't live in the same state as our families, or maybe you just don't know other homeschoolers yet. This is a new experience.
Or your family does not understand this strange new concept that
Yes.
you've embraced.
Yeah.
And that's major, and that's a stress.
Yeah, and
that's a stressor.
Right. And in previous episodes, we've talked about loneliness and how it can contribute to, really taking away a lot of your emotional energy. So really, I feel like if you are running yourself ragged with homeschooling and really not taking any downtime for yourself, then you are probably going to have either a really frustrating homeschool year or you might burn out. A friend of mine, she homeschooled for quite a while. Last year was a very challenging year for her. She had lost her best friend, passed away, and she was just really kind of burning the candle really at like both ends. And this year she's not homeschooling. She's like, I can't, I just can't, I don't have the emotional energy to do that every single day. So I really think you have to protect, I guess, the essence of yourself in a way, so that you have enough energy to meet the day with a smile. Not that every day is going to be awesome, but you don't want your kids to think you're miserable homeschooling, right? That's like, how do you want your kids to remember you? Right. You want them to be like, wow, my mom really actually enjoyed our time together, or like they'll cherish these memories that you're making with them, and that takes intention, but it takes a lot of energy, and so you want to make sure that you have that for the long haul. So I always say, homeschooling is a marathon; it is not a sprint. And one of my favorite things to do is when I'm considering our homeschool year is in the state of Pennsylvania, and I think it's pretty much across America. It may be less, but I don't know if it's any more. You have to homeschool for 180 days, or you have to, school has to take place for 180 days. I think there might be another state that might be 190 or 185, but it's usually around 180 is about the average. So that works out to about 36 weeks of school 5 days a week, right? So what I do is I build in an extra 5 days into our school calendar when I'm starting out the year, as well as I consider, I guess in October sometimes there's like a Columbus Day, and I'll take the day off if you're home, but I don't.
Right.
Sometimes that works out, and sometimes it does. If Chris is not off from work, then I don't really acknowledge it because the kids don't really know it's a holiday anyway. So it's no big deal.
They also don't have snow days.
Yeah.
For those of us above certain states, snow days are a thing.
Yeah.
And not for homeschoolers.
Right. But the fun thing is, like with homeschooling, they can go out in the morning,
Right.
especially the younger guys. They're up so early. They can go out. They can go sleigh ride. and then come back inside by like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and then have a nice cozy cup of hot cocoa while we do morning time. And then really they've kind of gotten their wiggles out. They usually have a better school day.
Yeah, they cook off all that morning energy.
Yeah, so they actually do get to
understand.
They do get to enjoy those snow days, but just they don't need to take the whole day off anyhow. But anyway, so what I do is I just automatically build in 5 days. So if we start usually mid-August, like I said before, we don't homeschool formally through the summer. The kids have books that they'll have to read for like summer reading, and then I'll do a read out loud to them. But we really are more lax simply because like I like the downtime. Some people, they do a little bit all throughout the school year, so it's never big chunks of time, but I do like to do the pool, and I don't know.
Stuff's going to come up.
Yeah, I just enjoy
home,
a more relaxed schedule in the summer, but that's just me. I feel like I mentally need
build it in
to unhook a bit from that. Right. But we'll start like mid-August, because I always notice by mid-August, the kids are kind of starting to get a little bit bored of going to the pool all the time, and you know, they're
tired of all the skateboards, they're tired of the trampoline, they're like tired of...
They're ready for structure, I think.
They're tired of their fun stuff, ironically.
Yeah, they're just ready for more structure, I think, is kind of how it works out. And then, so we'll start mid-August, which I don't mind. They're ready and raring to go. Plus, I think they feel kind of important, like they're now a whole grade older than they were in June or whatever. So anyway, we start mid-August, and then I build in 5 extra days into our calendar. So we'll end typically Memorial Day, like the Friday before Memorial Day is usually our last day of school. But that gives me, like, if you're like doing the math, that's more than 36 weeks. But I also build in, you know, a week off, you know, Thanksgiving time. Right. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we take a day off of school because we're cleaning and we're cooking and we're meal prepping and menu planning.
Meeting
we
people.
Usually host Thanksgiving. Stuff.
Also,
we just
December is quite the show here.
Yeah.
Aside from the standard holidays, we have 3 birthdays in December.
And our wedding anniversary.
Our wedding anniversary
like Thanksgiving kind of kicks
right around
off the
Thanksgiving.
Crazy time.
And so it's either the anniversary, Thanksgiving, or Thanksgiving and the anniversary, right around there, depending on the year.
Yeah, November 24th is our anniversary, so depending
I did know
on
that,
how Thanksgiving...
but,
okay.
I did. But then December 1st, December 22nd, then the new Christmas Eve was always my family's thing.
Right.
So it's the big day for us. Christmas Day was your family's huge thing. And then we have a January 31st baby.
December 31st.
Excuse me. December 31st baby. And you have January 1st. It's like...
Yeah, it's
such a cacophony of
every week from Thanksgiving on is like...
So you lose days in there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my birthday today. All right, fine.
Yeah, and I let them have that off. That's like included in their bonus day, or if they don't feel well. Right. So actually, it's a funny story. The other day, was it late? I think it was Labor Day. Or no, it was the Friday before Labor Day. So the pool was still open. We joined the local campground. Here's a tip, Mom. If you don't have access to a swimming pool regularly... There's a local campground near us, and they have a pool. And so for like $300 for the entire summer, we can go and have use of the pool and go swimming there, and we don't have to maintain it or clean it or anything. And typically during the week, Monday through Friday, there's almost no one at the campgrounds. We notice a lot of people come in maybe Friday afternoon and stay for the weekend and then go home. So often we are the only people at the pool, and especially we'll join it in June when school is still in session, and it's just us for well over a month. So it's really kind of fun. But anyway, so the Friday before Labor Day this year, we had started school, right? Because I said we start mid-August. So the Friday before Labor Day, I was like, it's really kind of the last like summer weekend that we have. Let's take off of school. We'll go to the pool early. We'll have a picnic and that kind of thing. So we did that. So we didn't do any schooling in the morning, but my one daughter didn't realize that we didn't do school.
Oh, well, she's she
was like in her room,
cave dweller style,
plugging away at her day, and I don't think she really came above ground.
She didn't want to go to the pool for whatever the reason was. She did her school and didn't even know she had a day off.
Yeah, I was like, and so she came up. She's like, "How come no one's doing their work?" I'm like, "Oh, well, we took the day off because we're getting ready to go swimming."
It's like, oh, I
And
did
she's
all
like,
my stuff.
I'm already done. So I said, well, I'll give you like a
Monday.
day off card.
You actually
oh
gave
yeah,
her
she's
Monday.
like, can I not do school Monday then? Which was Labor Day. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. You don't have to do school on
no
Monday.
one was doing it then either.
It's Labor
She
Day.
figured that one out though.
Yeah, she's like, hey, wait a
she's
minute.
pretty crafty.
So
we had to give her.
Yeah, I kind of gave her like, here, take a free pass, and then if there's a day like you don't feel good or maybe you got cramps or I don't know, whatever. Right. Like you can play your 1 day off card since you already kind of worked ahead. And anyway, that's how it is. But I kind of do that with.
Speaking of December,
oh yeah,
we have one of our family traditions. It was my mother did it. We had a little advent calendar, and she would staple little notes around it for each of the days. Mm-hmm. And there was a little prize bag, and it would be, I could stay up a half hour later. I was pretty little at the time. And I thought that was such a clever. I wonder where she ever got that. Probably Better Homes and Gardens or something. It's a cute idea. Family magazine.
Because we actually do that now.
So we do it now, and you could put day off of school in one of these days. We have a tree now, with little pockets, all little felt. Looks like the flannel graph, and you can pull, a different thing. Oh, let's plug our. Gotta plug my computer in.
1 second, guys. The computer's gonna die.
She's gonna die. Watch your feet.
Soon.
I think you're on it. Not yet. And one more. Sorry, guys. It's a live show here. I know we could edit it out, but I'm not that good at that yet.
You're super professional.
You're going to see interruptions here.
Yeah.
The dog was just here, and she had a whole lot to say. And,
Yeah, she was barking at us. So.
I don't know why. At any given moment, a kid could burst in here, but we are homeschoolers. We do everything in the home.
Right.
Before she goes, I don't want him to see it's the bedroom we're in. I said, well, that's it. We don't have a recording studio.
Yeah.
The second I can get you one, you got it.
Thanks. But also, like I kind of figured it's just us talking to you as if you were here, and we're just going over. But I think we should do a whole podcast episode just on maybe family traditions and fun ones.
Yeah. Sorry.
And before we do it, maybe we can
self-care.
Maybe we can ask you guys too to email us some ideas for that. So we'll be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, we could read those.
That would be a really fun thing. Yeah,
on the show, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool, so we can kind of learn from each other. Because, like I said, I would have never thought to do something like that, but his mom learned it from somewhere else, and I think that's really cute. But anyway, so all this to say,
self-care. Back on track.
All this to say. 180 days of school, I'll build in an extra 5. And then that helps me out too, because then I don't feel so under the gun to keep to our schedule and be like, okay, we can't really take a sick day because that's going to push us now into June. And we have to have this many days of school. And now what are we going to do if we fall behind? Like, I don't do that. And then if there is a particularly warm, warm or, like February day, that's like unusually freakishly warm here in Pennsylvania, we'll go outside more, or we'll go plan a picnic and go for a hike and maybe blow off school. And we kind of need that downtime. Or so when I'm saying this because when it comes to taking time, there she is. You want to go grab her?
I'll go grab her.
And I'll keep talking.
You go. This is your.
Yeah, she's like, I'm back, and I really want you. Come on.
And I don't know if you saw, but we're really doing it raw here. Got my shirt on, but I got my gym shorts. Business up here.
Okay. All right. So when it comes to doing the 180 days, what I like to do then is, plan for days that if I just feel like the world is crashing in around me, or the house is just gotten away from me, or the laundry is piled up, or we're just, everybody is down with a stomach bug, or, life is happening. We should tell you the story of Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
2019.
2019 was ruined.
It was epic. I think some of our kids still have PTSD from that.
They still... It goes down in legend.
It was we can't tell it now.
No,
we'll save
but
it though.
I'll say this,
crazy.
For younger couples here who are, absolutely eager to have a lot of children, I highly recommend it. But one factor is when you guys get sick.
Y'all get sick.
Once you've had 5 kids, like it's a month maybe.
Yeah, if everybody's got something.
You're out of commission, you're out of social network. But you can still homeschool. Mm-hmm. You can still do that.
Yeah.
You know.
But anyway, I try to build in these kind of like mental health days for me. Obviously, if the kids need a sick day or something, even if they're just feeling run down or have the sniffles or, whatever, I could be like, all right, why don't you listen to this book on tape, or let's put on, an educational video and we'll watch that. And you can always incorporate learning and still count it as a school day. But when you need a mental health break and you're really not there to conduct school, or you just don't have the energy. I know one time, it was just a particularly trying time. And I was like, you know what? Tomorrow, guys, we're going to go to the zoo. And I could still count it as school, but I just felt like I just couldn't spend one more day. It was early spring. It was warm enough to get outside for any extended period of time. And it was just a long winter. And, I was like, you know what? We're going to tomorrow. We're going to just go to the zoo. And we're going to spend the whole day doing that. And that's just what we did, because I had to... The thought of like sitting there and doing the schoolwork, and it just like I needed the change of scenery, and I needed to kind of blow some dust off. And so stuff like that is what I want you to be aware of. So if you're starting to feel weary, if you're starting to feel burned out, if you're starting to feel like I cannot cope with the mess of the house and with, trying to do school, I'm just like, everything is collapsing. I want you to start.
It's pretty severe.
Well, it does sometimes feel pretty severe. You're working, your day never ends when you're homeschooling, in a sense, because the kids are really always with you, which isn't a negative thing, but it does take.
But that's reality.
It does take getting used to, especially if you're not used to it, and especially if you are used to having breaks, or, it really does require dying to yourself, and that it's a process, right? Like, you're dying to yourself, you're serving others, like exactly what Jesus did for us.
It's a mission.
And like you constantly need to be refreshed and renewed. Right. And so it's so much easier to just quit or say like, well, this isn't for me, rather than putting in the effort to find ways to refresh and renew. But I think that you need to learn that skill so that the rest of your life will become more manageable. And you need to start with identifying, okay, what are my needs? Mm-hmm. Where are they? What is, one thing we call is the nuts, right?
Yes,
it's like these nuts.
I think we mentioned this once before, the nuts.
They're like these nagging, unfinished tasks. And what they do is they really start to chip away at you. And you really only have, like, if you can imagine your emotional capacity in like a bottle, right? And every day it's full, right? But by the end of the day, it gets depleted. Well, these nuts that are around your house, they're just wearing you down, and they're taking like little sips off of your little jar of emotional ability. And by the end of the day, you're worn out. So what you want to do is identify, and so like if you get a piece of paper and a pen and just write down as many of these nuts, they're the nagging, unfinished tasks that just kind of are annoying. And it's like the stuff you think about at 3 a.m.
Like the cars got to be inspected.
Yeah, like, yes, we have 2 cars right now that need inspection. One of them needs brakes and tires. Yeah. In another couple weeks, 2 or 3 of our kids need eye appointments for new classes. Right. The dog needs another update on her shot. Right. There's just a few other things, too. Like, I want to take down the shower curtains and put up new shower curtain liners and then wash the shower curtains. And so like there's like just these nagging unfinished tasks that when they're done, you feel so much lighter, like, and it goes a little bit. The weight goes
away and the breaths are better. You absorb the oxygen better. And there's a little tip, and this all counts as self-care. For guys, we're a little bit more archaic. Put them on a whiteboard. And, I got to get the car inspected. I got to, there was something, I got to get wood for this winter. Right. And they're on the board, but I don't see them. They're not in like my way. I need to put them in like my car, so I see this.
Just write it on your forehead, not on your arm. You won't
see
my
it
arm,
on your forehead. When they're there in front of you, you will be much more likely to do them because once you're at work, busy, or doing whatever it is, or even if you're playing with the kids, the wood thing goes away. Right. The car inspection goes away until you sit there in the quiet when you're wishing you had a few minutes quiet, and they all come screaming back like, I gotta do this. And it's not violent, but it does have weight, and it can exhaust you. Yeah. It can exhaust you. It certainly can exhaust her. Yeah. And I'm gonna step in here and say, guys, for this self-care bit, particularly for her, this is where you get a chance to shine. You can maybe not do it yourself, but you certainly can facilitate it. Cut a piece of the budget out for those things. I mean, maybe it's dinner, maybe it's flowers, maybe a mani-pedi and all that other stuff just to get her out of the house. And you wrestle them down and do language arts with them, for the morning while she's out getting maybe, just a little beautification or something. Hey, if you can swing it, send her to a bed and breakfast alone.
That sounds good.
Without anybody, nagging her or you pawing at her or whatever it is. Yeah. That's a vacation from it all. You don't have to send her away, far away, but just something nice.
Right.
And, yep, does it cost money? But what does it cost,
right?
To not do it? A miserable existence, a happy wife, happy life. We've all heard that. And it's actually quite true, and it's not even a snarky statement. It's a matter of fact.
Right. And a friend of mine, she started homeschooling, I think right when COVID hit. She just decided it'd be easier to homeschool. So, and I guess she must have come home her job switched, but she was saying that when she worked outside of the home, she still had a cleaning lady come in at least once a month and just did the deep clean in the bathrooms and a deep clean throughout her whole house. And she said she's going to continue doing that even though she's home now and she's a homeschool mom. She's like, I'm still a working mom, and I am still going to have someone come in once a month and do these nuts, right? But for her, so the deep clean in the bathrooms and because it creates, it just lifts a little bit of a burden off of you. And so the whole point the whole approach I like to take when it comes to self-care is create a life that doesn't require one that you always need escape from. So set yourself up so that it's manageable. So look at the beginning of your month and see, okay, what do I have coming up? Are there birthdays coming up? Are there holidays coming up? Is there going to be a particularly busy time? And then write it all down, and then you can take a look at your calendar and say, okay, well, I'll get all the birthday gifts on this day, or I'm going to, if I know there's a holiday, okay, I'm going to plan the menu ahead of time, and I'll make sure all the food shopping's done, 5 days ahead of time, so that it's I'm not shopping in the busiest time
that
of
rush job with 6,000 other people that didn't do.
Right. So that you're not constantly behind the eight ball. I one of my girlfriends, she wakes up late. She wakes up behind schedule just because she's just a hot mess, and she's always behind all day
until she falls asleep.
Yeah. She's literally spinning, and it's I gotta go get dinner, and it's 4:30, and she's like, I don't even know, but then I gotta go pick up this kid from here and that. And it's just she's a constant whirlwind, but she's constantly run down, and she's constantly exhausted. And so you want to be able to take dominion of what you have, right? I think that we were called to do that.
Oh, yes.
And so we are called to order our days. And so I think it's important to go ahead and sit down, even if you think, well, I don't have time to sit down and plan ahead. And I thought you were going to talk to me about bubble baths. And yes, go ahead. If you have had a particularly long day, find ways you can soothe yourself, that, alcohol at the end of the day, or a lot of overeating, those types of things, those vices, or overspending, or, any of those things, gossiping, those don't become the ways that you cope with stress. And, instead try to be proactive and, cut it off at the pass. And so give yourself grace to go ahead and make as much plan as you can. And that takes some, self-reflection too, so that you can say, okay, you know what, this particular activity is really, really draining, and I don't think I don't think it's the best thing for me or my kids. Or so, for example, there's on Tuesday nights there's an activity that I really want the kids to participate in. It's called the Royal Rangers. And it's for all of my boys can go to it, and so it's something I've really had my eye on for a few years. I'm I really want them to be able to do it. The only problem is it's 40 minutes from us. And by the time 7 o'clock on a Tuesday evening rolls around, I really don't feel like going. He works at night, so it's up to me.
I would do it.
It's up to me to drag the 2-year-old at 7 p.m. For you moms out there, that's a nightmare.
That's
but
appalling.
also drive 40 minutes, get them to the thing, and then I would be there also. And they do have like a nice like prayer and worship time for the
that's very
parents,
nice, actually.
which is awesome.
But you get the
But
baby.
then I have the little guy, which he can come, but he would probably cry because it's bedtime for him. And so anyway, I'm saying this because
It's 3 hours in the car in the end.
Yeah, well, it's 3 hours out of the house anyway because it's 40 minutes there.
Well,
it's
if he's
40
crying,
minutes
then
back.
you can't go
right?
in service.
So all this to say, like, as much as I really want them to participate in this with his work schedule, it's just not going to happen
Currently.
It's subject
changes.
to change.
Yeah.
But for now, it's something I had to evaluate and say, okay, do I really need them to, like, is this very important in the scope of their life, or can I get some of these things met in other ways? And my, evaluating, I was like, this is going to just have to stay on pause. They can join anytime, and when Chris's work schedule changes, then we can reevaluate it. But I don't have the energy at that time of night to get all 5 boys out of the house and then wrangle a toddler. It's just so they can do another activity, so it's like, I know myself, and I know trying to do that is really going to wear me down, especially in the dead of winter and trying to cope with the icy roads at night. And so I'm like, you know what, we'll just wait until the season is different, and then we'll check it out and
Right.
go back to it.
And they were doing something
And it was a good thing.
Monday also, weren't they? Well,
Oh, they were doing like
Ninja Warrior was Monday,
and
so that would be
then
something Monday, something Tuesday.
something
We have our
Wednesday.
church has a service Wednesday
Yeah.
with youth group.
Saturday mornings now they do football. So
football.
it just
Yeah,
would
we're-
be a
we're
lot
full,
of out of
yeah.
the house stuff. And I was like, it's okay to just say no,
Now-
not for now. But that's taking time for self-care. It's
Right.
not being selfish, because if that was the only activity that we could do for them at
Right.
that point in time, then I would make sure they got it done. But it's not. It's like another activity on top of 4 others.
Yeah,
So
I would say a sneaky version of self-care is this very concept.
Yeah.
Know not to get involved in something if you can't either put 100% in, or if it's going to slowly tax you, sort
Mm-hmm.
of like that one co-op that was far away. We learned it quick, fortunately, but I'm not really super sportsy, but the boys are playing flag football now. But we see it does add another dynamic to life, and we we got away scot-free for quite
Yeah, the
a
girls
long
just went
time. The
into
girls
it.
weren't. They did a little gymnastics and this and that. But we also committed to not being. We watched some of these families with 1 or 2 kids, and they were completely
their
in the
whole lives
car
revolved
all day,
around-
zoom, all these places. And there's a good side to every single one of these activities, but sometimes I wonder at what cost. And we chose to just not be ruled by these things.
Yeah.
Dominate what you're doing. Take dominion, like
Yeah,
you
take
said.
dominion.
In some other aspects of my life, when, for fight training, you dominate certain things, and you let certain things go.
Right.
Dominate your life so that your life isn't trailing you around, and that is
Yeah, be
ultimately
the-
self-care.
Yeah, be the master of your own time instead of like saying, oh, well, they're homeschooled, so they need the socialization, and they have, because you'll just run yourself ragged.
We
and
could have
so
a
you
whole
need boundaries.
series of shows on
Yeah.
socialization. Don't
Yeah.
panic.
Yeah, you need to have boundaries
panic.
put in place to protect you, but also, in the end, it will protect the kids, because now instead of running around, we're home a little bit, and no one's asked, like, hey, when are we going? Like, they haven't asked since. So it's okay to have it on pause right now. So anyway, plan downtime for yourself. Look at your schedule. Look and see, like, okay, does my energy level, am I able to match this? What are the nuts? Like, what are my nagging unfinished tasks? What can I write down? How many of these can I bang out? Just so they're not constantly like, because your brain, here's the thing, your brain will constantly bring up things that it thinks is important. And so what that does, though, is it does like kind of like, it becomes like a bigger event. Even if it's something that's not going to take a lot of time, your brain will assume it will, because it's reading it as important. So if you can like get it out of your head and onto a piece of paper and just start writing down all these nuts that you have, all these things that are coming up, any kind of tasks, any kind of activities, any kind of responsible adulty kind of things that you need to handle, write it all down and get it out of your head. And that will help so much then with like looking at it and thinking, okay, what can I let go of? Especially, and this is really helpful too if you're overwhelmed. What can I let go of? What do I not have to do? Like, for example, we got invited to something, and it's not something I really want to go to. And well, here, I'll say it this way. When we were newlyweds and we had a baby, all of our friends were also getting married. But his mom had passed away, and his dad would get invited to people's weddings that like they were very good friends with. But because his mom wasn't there, Chris is an only child, so like we got invited to these people's weddings that we didn't even know them.
Yeah, a lot of
like
them.
I got shower invitations for people I didn't even know who they. I had no idea who they were, which is really nice
testimony
in some
to my
way,
mother's wonderful,
right?
yeah.
But I'm
how
like,
highly
if
she spoke of you.
if I passed this bride on the street, I wouldn't even know it was her.
Right.
Like, I don't really feel like, why do I have to go to her shower? It's extra money for us. Plus, we'd have to hire a babysitter. It was just like the logistics. Plus, that the year I'm talking about, we were in 6 weddings between the two of us. And then we were invited to 6 more.
Right.
So we said actually no to the 6 weddings that we only said yes to go to the weddings we were in. And we kind of like B-listed people that, you know, we just weren't friends with, just really out of our own, like we just didn't have the capacity.
Well, I mean, it would have cost us thousands of dollars,
would
number
have.
one, but I mean,
And
you know, how do
yeah.
you say no? But we said no to 5 or 6 weddings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
when we were first married, we would have thought that was appalling. But hey, there's only so much of us.
Right.
That's all I
Right.
got.
And so you have to kind of,
prioritize.
yeah.
And we were
that's-
young then.
Yeah. Yeah. But so anyway, so what I'm saying is now, you know, are there things that like maybe you feel obligated to go to, but it's just it's really just an obligation. It's not for pleasure, or really, you know, maybe there's things you can cut out of your life that is not really necessary, that can really help you kind of conserve some of your energy. Because
I'll say this, you know, if you don't want to completely trash the relationship, send a check. I'm sorry, we're
you
busy.
can send
you know?
a check, but sure.
You know,
Whatever.
they're not going to ghost you after that. I mean, I honor. You know, there's some things I do want to honor in life, and with as many children as we have, I often say we're full.
Right. But the weddings we said no to, and like we didn't know them. Like we weren't really, like we were literally only invited because
by proxy.
because
to my
like
parents,
his parents, and it was like his parents' friends' kids were getting married, and it was like, oh, they have to be on the, you know what I mean? So it wasn't they would have no
probably
idea
relieved
who
we
we
said
were
no.
either. Do you know what I mean? Like the bride and groom actually probably didn't know us either, but we got invited just by proxy
Send
of
a
these
gift.
circumstances. So I didn't feel guilty saying no. But if I had said yes and like felt obligated to go, obligated to get an outfit, obligated to get a sitter, like it would have really just worn me down. So anyway,
Would
I'm
have been the
saying
busiest
this,
year of our life.
yeah, and the most expensive.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this, like you take that and just see, okay, can I apply
Filter
this in my own life too? Have boundaries, and it's okay to have boundaries and say no. So, you know, the whole goal would be like, how can I make sure that my life isn't, my life isn't so overwhelming that I'm constantly needing to run from it in the form of pedicures and bubble baths and alcohol and overeating and, you know, all those things. Like, how can I create a life and a home that is enjoyable, that is doable, that suits the ideals and the vision that we created, and like allows us some downtime and some rest time, so that life doesn't feel like it's caving in. It doesn't feel like it's overwhelming us. So anyway, take that tool, the nuts, and I would start with that. And then I have a whole class and a whole notebook dedicated to taking time for self-care, which you'll be able to get a hold of once you join our Spotlight on Home membership. Yep. But this is kind of a little bit of an intro, but you can go ahead and get that nuts done. Just grab a notebook and start writing down and get do the brain dump first, right? Like unload your whole brain onto this thing. And it could be stupid things, you know, like I have to leave, when we're done recording this, I'm going to run over to DMV because I have to get my driver's license renewed. So, you know, like it's stupid things like that. Like, oh, I got to go do that. But it's just annoying me right now.
Sitting on the shelf.
Yeah, for a month
piece
now.
of paper
so
for
it's
a month.
so silly. But anyway, so go ahead, take that time for self-care. You know, get adequate sleep. Always be learning yourself too. So make sure like you are engaged in in upping your game too, and learning things and evolving as a person, your own improvement, and make sure you're eating nourishing food and you're getting enough sleep at night. All those things contribute to a general sense of well-being, and also those connections that we talked about in a previous podcast. Like, make sure you take time to get support you need. Make the connections with friends so you don't feel lonely and isolated. All those things contribute to self-care.
And dads, ask what could be done. Be that burden lifter for her. This is, you want to be the head of this, and you don't know. Well, that's on you. If maybe she's not a talker, maybe she keeps stuff bottled up. Ask. If you don't ask, you won't know, because I know it's a shock, but we can't read the minds. Right. I'm letting you know now. We can't.
Or just start taking initiative. The dishes are dirty.
Right.
Clean them.
Right.
The
Sink
laundry's
full.
Unfolded. Fold it.
Grab it.
Right.
Folding laundry while watching TV, if that's what you're doing, or whatever.
Yeah, like you're both working full time.
Right. Do it.
So,
just do it.
Help
you
out.
might. You can't do it. Start slow. You don't want to shock her completely all at once. She's like, "What'd you do?"
Yeah.
But I hear somebody at the door.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up.
I think it's our time.
Yeah. All right. So head over to spotlightonhome.com. You can grab the 10 tips for homeschooling. We try to break it down and make it really simple for you to get started. And thanks for joining us. Have a good day.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye, everyone.